It's me, the man with the badge in the flesh. Tony from Buzby Gaming here, and I couldn't help but notice that the Nindeviled has the first player guy stuck in the NES void. Let me tell you something about over there. It hurts over there. It's lonely over there. It's war over there. However, since I'm the coolest guy, Nindeviled, and the first player guy I know, I think it's only appropriate the next game we play is Cool World for the NES. Oh, and just remember, this place exists with or without you. You believe me, right?
Alright, we got Cool World for the NES, so why don't you come on and play with me? In the selection screen, you can use the select button to choose one of 4 different levels, but let's just do the first one, which is called Cool World Streets. This lady says Harris can't stop her, and then this tornado delivers a guy. I guess it's supposed to be Harris? Anyway, we can jump and we are moving to the right. There's lots of enemies that are walking toward us or just shooting at us. I don't really have an attack, or at least I can't figure out how to attack, yet. There's this club, but the bouncers block the door when I get near. A couple of jerks is what they are. Let's keep going to the right. Then all the buildings drop out, and the screen just stops scrolling. I mean, what am I supposed to be doing? This might be one of those where do I go type of games. Maybe we should check out the movie first. Cool World is a movie from 1992 starring Brad Pitt as Frank Harris, Kim Basinger as Holly Wood, and this guy Gabriel Byrne. You've seen him, you just didn't know his name, and he plays Jack Deebs. The Cool World is this dark dystopian semi-animated dimension or universe or whatever, where the aesthetic is very dark and creepy, but also kinda cool. The movie does that late 80s, early 90s blending of live action and animation, not too dissimilar to something like Roger Rabbit. In a 1940s Las Vegas, Harris gets transported into the Cool World after a motorcycle accident. 50 years later, in a 1990s Las Vegas, cartoonist Jack Deebs has been drawing and illustrating the Cool World and characters within it, coincidentally. So Deebs didn't create Cool World, it existed without him already. Holly Wood, note the spelling and pronunciation, is the voluptuous girl everyone in Cool World wants. Holly's misguided ambitions are to get out of Cool World and get into the real world. Within the Cool World universe, Harris, who is still a real-life human by the way, has become a police detective and as such tasks himself with keeping Holly Wood in line. Since Harris won't help Holly get to the real world, she instead lures Deebs into the Cool World to help her. This arrangement is further complicated by the fact that Deebs thinks he's created the Cool World. With this in mind, perhaps the game will make sense? Maybe? Probably not. So let's try this again. The girl is supposed to be Holly Wood. I think it's pretty obvious this version of Harris doesn't look anything like Brad Pitt, or maybe it does if Brad Pitt had a love child with Colonel Sanders. It's more like Sylvester Stallone or Tony Robbins wearing white. I know I overlooked it earlier, but there's that box at the bottom of the screen that says pen. Well, one of the first things we should be doing in any level is trying to get the pen. The pen allows you to suck up enemies, but you actually don't need it to technically play or beat the game. This idea comes from the movie, and I think that's kind of cool, because in the movie there's an ink pen, and if you use an ink pen from the real world in the Cool World, it can cause mischief. Holly will actually use it to get rid of one of the doodles. This is after she has become annoyed. Oh yeah, terminology. A Noid is supposed to be a human, but not the Noid from Yo Noid and Dominoes. And a doodle is supposed to be a cartoon being. I'd say person, but some of these doodles look nothing like people. In the game, the pen is cool, but sometimes when you suck up an enemy, a new one immediately appears. That's not cool. Also, the pen can get full, but you can empty it at certain points along the way. Another thing we should be doing is getting bombs. I found out the hard way that if you don't get enough bombs, you can't beat the boss. So, trust me. I get zapped trying to jump over to get this bomb over here. It wasn't really clear that the sign can electrocute you, but that's okay, live and let learn. A little further ahead, there's a bonus room which has several bombs. That's going to be a help. Exit and we are back outside, and below us are those guys who kept blocking us from before. I believe this is supposed to be Slash's club from the movie, but the bouncer guys aren't really exactly the same. This is where the bombs come into play, but first let's check out the eraser just so you can see what it does. You throw it at a guy and he turns into a candy cane, which in turn gives you health. But if you use a bomb on this trash can, the lid pops off and the smell is so bad that the guys get out of the way. Now that we can go inside, well, the place is empty. All the patrons probably left because the barkeep is throwing bottles. No, the barkeep is not Slash. So in this room, you have to jump from the platform on the right to the platform on the left that looks like a snake. The blue wall stuff electrocutes you. This part is pretty aggravating because the jump and direction controls aren't perfect. I'm not worried so much about the bottles being thrown, and I'm willing to sacrifice some damage to get through, but this room really kinda sucks. After a few dozen attempts, I make the jump and go into this sewer system, and the place is infested with green gator guys. You know, I thought this level was called Cool World Streets, not Cool World Sewer. The purple sewage stuff harms you, so try to stay out of there. Your goal here is to get bombs before you take on the boss. Undoubtedly, you'll fill up your pen, so to empty it you have to drain it into an empty ink container. Also, we have a section where you have to jump from barrel to barrel. You know, I preferred the barrel punching from Mighty Final Fight. But these barrel and sewer sections with the gators are unforgiving. I found myself using the erasers to turn the enemies into candy canes just to get my life back. After backtracking and going the other way, you should hopefully have more than 10 bombs, and you're gonna need them. There's even a spot where you have to bomb the wall to get through. Now, would you have guessed that if you were playing this? The room leading up to the boss gets ridiculous with the barrels and drips of sewage waste. I mean, this place is just absolutely disgusting. The boss is this blue-gray, babyish looking thing. I'm pretty sure it's this guy Slash from the movie. And he throws out dice? Actually, there's a scene in the movie where he uses dice, so cool. He's not too tough, just dodge his projectile and dodge him and then throw bombs at him. And this is why you needed a lot of those bombs. It takes 10 bombs to kill him. But once he's down, you get this piece of paper or map or something, and then a tornado takes you away. Holly taunts you for a bit, and then it's time to select another stage. Again, we can do them in any order we want, but let's do the border road next, where Holly says the exact same thing to you as before. The next stage puts you on a skateboard and automatically scrolls. You do have a decent amount of maneuverability. You'll notice the bombs are now replaced with nickels, and we'll get to that, but please note it's instant death if you hit a barrier or go off of a ledge. There are these ramps that propel you ahead, and sometimes the road drops out, leaving a narrow segment in which to traverse. First time going through this level, you'll die a few times, but with each attempt, you're gonna get a little bit further. Sometimes these green skater girls, or whatever they are, will get in your way. The main thing you'll want are these nickels scattered throughout the level. You'll need 10 of them to defeat the boss. I think this level is probably my favorite in the entire game, but that really isn't saying much. The boss is this guy Sparks, and he's definitely from the movie. He has wooden nickels that are alive or something. The point is, since he's from the movie, I think that's pretty cool. I made it to him with exactly 10 nickels, which means there's no room for error. But since he's in our way, it's time to slap him around and make him pee like a puppy. Take him out, get the paper, back to the tornado, and Holly says the exact same thing as last time. She's such a waste of ink. Next up, we go to Sweet Town Place. The enemies here cause much more damage than those we've seen so far. The first thing I want to point out is I don't recall any location from the movie that looks like this. I mean, I also don't recall any sewers or highways missing chunks of road from the movie, but at least the dark tone of those levels was in sync with that of the movie. We start off having to climb up this telephone pole and cross over on the wires, but watch out, you can get zapped. Make it over far enough and you can grab the pen. Then we move to the right where police officer guys, they're called poppers by the way, and they are from the movie, are constantly on you and they damage you easily. It's worth it to use your erasers just to get the health from the candy canes now. But your goal really should be to get 10 cakes. Yep, just like the bombs and the nickels, you gotta get 10. But good luck with everything and everyone coming at you. Further ahead, you can walk across power lines again and go through a window to a bonus area with 4 cakes. You should definitely do this. Once you get your 10 cakes, get to the end of the level and fight Big Popper. Of the bosses so far, he's probably the easiest. You know, I don't recall a specific Popper from the movie who was bigger than all the others, but whatever. He shoots a projectile that's easy to time and dodge, and the cakes you throw go in a straight line, so you don't have to worry about the arc of your throw like with the bombs and the nickels. Anyway, put him into a diabetic coma with all the cakes, grab the next piece of the map, and we are off to the sweet countryside. For the game developers, this is the part of the game where the hallucinogens finally kicked in. It's bright and cheerful, but don't be fooled. The candy canes in the background won't help you, and these rabbits are having one heck of a hoppin' and happen trying to get on you. Just jump over them and get the real candy canes when you can. Hopefully you also grab the pen. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we are getting carrots this time. Are we gonna have to fight Bugs Bunny? If that's the case, somebody should probably hack this level and replace Harris with the angry video game nerd. Later, rabbits will throw explosive carrots at us, and these purple candy cane things bounce bucephalously. Actually, that's not a real word, but I like it from the title of that one Aphex Twin song, so go listen to that with headphones and see if your brain doesn't get warped. Then again, your brain is probably already warped from this level. Now the rabbit holes are throwing nuclear dice at us, but if you lay flat on this one spot, you go into a bonus area with 2 carrots, so catch your breath and then move along because the screen will end, and when you go into this rabbit hole, you enter the real challenge of Stage 4, the aggravating rabbit hole. This thing has rooms on both sides that will have carrots, but they are just awful, and the last room will have the boss. You can skip ahead if you want, but at the very bottom, it's just death. The first room isn't too terrible. These boulders fall from the top and then several more come at you from the side. There are these pits with more of the boulder things shooting up. I can't figure out the timing, so I just have to take damage on every one, but at the end of this room there are 3 carrots. Unfortunately, you have to backtrack your way, which is kinda awful. In the second room, you jump between platforms, then jump from platform to platform while some of the platforms fall out from under you. If you fall through, you don't die, but it puts you back at the beginning of the room. I guess it's better than having to lose your life. Once you make it to the end, there are 3 carrots. Now would be a good time to jump down, and luckily it takes you back to the beginning of the room instead of forcing you to backtrack. Next, we get to room 3, and room 3 isn't too bad at first. There are some green worms which can hurt you, and these evil mushroom things are kind of after us. We should probably put some Incubus music on in this part, because there is a fungus among us. Ahead is a door opening. Walk into it and die. Awesome. If you go through the third door, there are some bonus items, including some carrots. I have 15 carrots, which is the amount we supposedly need for the boss. I could probably just not finish this room and find more carrots on the way to the boss, but I don't want to risk it, and I don't want to have to reset the game, so let's just finish this room, get the carrots, and then backtrack. Room 4 is pretty awful, but at least we can assume we won't have to backtrack since the boss is probably at the end of the room. So you have to make some jumps and then make some blocks appear. It seems like you can't avoid some of these falling rocks, and then later we have a repeat of the falling platform guessing game. So just get lucky and remember which ones to avoid. After hopping over a bunch of bunnies, we make it to the boss, who is a blue bunny. Is that some kind of ice cream or something? Well, its name is Evil Bunny, and it launches carrots at us. But where is he in the movie? Well, the only guy I remember was this no-name goon. If this is definitely the character they are trying to portray, it's a bit of a stretch. So I find it kind of weird that we are launching carrots at him to hurt him. Wouldn't that just be giving him more ammo to use against us? I don't know. Hit him enough times and he does this weird shake thing. Reminds me of when the trolls would talk from episode 19. Also, if you stand in the right spot, you can spam chuck the carrots without getting hurt too much. So we take him out, get a piece of the map before the tornado takes us away, and naturally Hollywood says the same thing as always. The final stage is the Ocean Plaza Hotel. After getting dropped off by Torn Uber, we quickly discover the stage does not scroll left or right. It looks like it goes up, but getting up there isn't working. Maybe we have to bounce off a car? Yeah, that works. So we gotta ascend this thing. Now in the movie, it was the Union Plaza Hotel, which is a real place in Las Vegas. By this point in the movie, Holly and company are no longer in Cool World. So instead, the game renames this location to the Ocean Plaza Hotel, which is amazing since there aren't any oceans near Vegas to my limited knowledge. Also, the game didn't mention that we were out of the Cool World, so I guess in the game it's as if we still haven't even left Cool World yet, and there are definitely some crazy, weird, tall buildings in Cool World. Anyway, I like the change-up, but I am not looking forward to falling down, or whatever weird mastery of the jump controls we are going to need to assume. Additionally, it looks like we are going to need some specific number of balloons for the boss, who I'm guessing is probably Holly. Along the way, enemies are throwing stuff at us. You can sometimes dodge it, and other times it feels like you can't possibly dodge, but there are candy canes along the way, and I can always use erasers if I need to. There's also a bonus room behind a random window, and then further ahead we get to dodge planes and do irritating platform jumping with these mediocre jump controls. Further along, you reach a penthouse level and the windows push you off. Akbar would agree about these being a trap, so just jump over. Then you get attacked by lightning bolts from every which way. This green face door on the left is a bonus room, thank you very much. And then outside, Holly calls us a wimp. Whoa, 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 whoa. That really hurts my feelings. Just gotta keep climbing. There's this area where the electricity is being shot out in 8 directions, so you just gotta dodge. But then you get to this next part where the sign electrocutes you. Just be patient, but don't be too patient or you might think you're safe. Once you get past the sign, you get to Holly. I have over 20 balloons, so hopefully that's enough. You basically just gotta shoot the balloons up at her. What a weird way to damage the final boss. No fireballs or special magic attacks, balloons. That's all you need. Whoa, then she does this tornado lightning thing and it actually can damage you pretty bad. If you think about it, that's kind of terrifying. Could you imagine a tornado that just shoots lightnings in all directions? So keep hitting her and she stops jumping to practice her calisthenics in midair or something. And then there's more tornado power, then more balloons, and then she's done. After that, Harris moves this thing into place. I'm actually pausing the game feed here because it flashes a lot, but it says that we've stabilized the 2 universes. Alright, cool. Thanks for explaining any story stuff at all the entire game. Now in the movie, Holly does remove this spike thing from the top of the hotel, but Harris is not the one who puts it back. To see how everything plays out, you're going to want to watch the movie. Then she says, "It's game over for you, sucker," which makes no sense because we just beat the game. I looked into it, and that is the normal game over screen, but when you beat the game, it shows that screen for some reason, and there's no other ending as far as I can tell. Perhaps it's an issue with the programming. So let's reflect on the game a bit. The visual style is actually decent considering what the developers had to work with, especially the first part of that 4th stage. The game is definitely a challenge without being impossible, and you can usually get health pretty easily with the exception of the first stage. I like the variety between the 5 stages and the 5 bosses, and I like that we could do the stages in any order. Unfortunately, the jumping, jump timing, and projectile controls are not great or even good. At best, they would be described as mediocre. Same with the music. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It didn't offend my ears, and I won't be trying to play the OST for this game anytime soon. Story? Well, the game had no story. If I'm being generous, I could say the element of doing the first 4 stages in any order you want kind of eliminates the ability to do much of a story. And one thing I did not mention is that if you enter A, B, B, A, left, right, right, left on the title screen, you go straight to the final level. As far as a recommendation, I'm mixed on whether to recommend this game or not. It's certainly not a game I intend to play again, but there are worse games for the NES. Trust me. Since it's a movie, we should do some housekeeping, particularly since we also just looked at Jurassic Park. On our movie tab list, we have 1 NES game each for Stallone, Ford, Schwarzenegger, Myers, Reeves, and now we need to add 1 game for Sam Neill and 1 game for Brad Pitt. I'm too lazy to rank these corresponding games right now. They each had issues in their own way. As far as the movie recommendations go, it should have been clear that Jurassic Park is a must-see, probably more than any of the other movies with NES games we've looked at so far. But what about Cool World the movie? Well, let's just say I'd recommend the movie long before I'd recommend the game. The live action and animation thing is going to be hit or miss for some people. It doesn't feel right to compare Cool World to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, Cool World went for this darker tone, but it just didn't feel natural. Maybe Cool World was trying to be scarier, but there's nothing in Cool World scarier than Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. Brad Pitt did a pretty decent job. Some would say his acting wasn't very good in this movie, but just like Keanu in Dracula, he was in the early part of his career and he would grow into a much better actor. And that's not to say his acting in Cool World is bad. Good old BP just grew into a better actor with more time. This is pre-Fight Club Brad Pitt, just to give you some comparison. Also, have you seen the movie Snatch? Oh man, that is a great movie. I would have to say probably the highlight of the movie is the music. I mean, the opening song is performed by the Thompson Twins. The ending credits song, I think, is written by David Bowie. And hey, even Frank Sinatra appears as himself and sings a song with Holly Wood. So if you've ever got an afternoon on a weekend with like 90 to 100 minutes to kill, just watch this movie one time, just to say that you have. Anyway, that's enough. I'm rambling. See you all next time.